Arthur Smith went on I think it was the Rich Eisen show. I just blanked on it. I'm pretty sure it's the Rich Eisen show. And he was asked the general questions about what's it like to take over this franchise, all the things that we've heard thus far. Him asked by reporters here, and what's the cap situation like, and blah 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 blah, and so on and so forth. And like nothing too much came out of that interview, but there was a part when he was asked about the team that really stood out to me, and it kind of gives us a glimpse into the way he and Fontenot are looking at this franchise. And I don't know if he meant to let this slip out or if this is just, how he feels and he doesn't care who knows it. But he had mentioned when asked about, taking over with an older Matt Ryan or, why you didn't draft a quarterback because Justin Fields was there. And, he gave the coachism. He's like, you got to draft the best player that fits and, what you expect a well-versed coach with the media is going to give you. But he gave the example. He's like, it's kind of like when Andy Reid took over the Chiefs. So he went in there, they had Alex Smith, and he was doing pretty good. But in order to fix that team, he had to put the places in there before he drafted Pat Mahomes. He's like, the right way to do it with quarterbacks is to get the pieces and then draft the quarterback. And so, if for those of you who don't remember, the Chiefs traded up for a quarterback to do that. So we'll probably be an average to below average team next year with what we have, on there. Unless he does like spectacular, unless these coaches absolutely change the type of performances that we've been getting out of the second and third level players that just haven't been performing up to snuff for us to be a good playoff team. Then I'm probably going to say we're going to be at or below 500 this season. So you're not going to lose, you're not going to have like 4 wins or 2 wins like we did this last year, unless, God forbid, someone gets hurt. But you're not going to be in a position to draft a quarterback there. And you're probably not going to be there the next year either when we still have Matt Ryan. So I think he's kind of saying like, hey, look, Atlanta Falcons fans, it's 2 more years of Matt Ryan. Then we're going to make our move. That's how we're going to do it. We're going to fill this roster with talent. We're going to keep some of the young guys here and develop them. And then we'll make the move at quarterback that I know a lot of y'all wanted. So it's kind of exciting. We'll probably get to ride out Matt Ryan's last couple of good years here. And then we're going to start, maybe something new. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. If y'all are just like, I don't want to do that. But like I've mentioned before, team building is one of my favorite things to do, and the involvement with football. I really love roster movement, and I love team building. How do you guys feel about that, about the possibility of seeing Matt for 2 more years, forgetting that the salary cap issues? Micah, how you feel?
The fact that you put that caveat on there, like I've already kind of pretty much come to the conclusion that Matt's going to be quarterback at least the next 2 years because of the salary cap issue. You can't get out of that contract until 2023, and it not like completely handcuff you salary cap wise. But personally, and I truly understand that. Like I understand what he's saying with you want to build a team around before, like you want to build the team up before you get the quarterback of the future. However, my thought process is, if Matt's the quarterback for 2 more years, you need to do like what the Chiefs did, and that's get a guy and groom him. I'd rather throw someone in there who's spent a year learning under Matt than just draft a rookie and throw him right in the fire. I don't care how good your team is. There's a learning curve, and there's gonna be growing pains, and you're gonna struggle. You might not have so if you don't win, like say we 500 the next 2 seasons, how long do you think the organization is going to give you to develop a rookie to the point where you can make the playoffs with them. So it's like, Arthur Smith is almost like, I don't know if he's thinking long term or what, but like, bro, you might have 3-4 years tops to get this team back in contention before you're on that hot seat. So like I said, you need to start looking for the match replacement in the next draft potentially, and groom him. So once we're able to get out from under Matt's contract, you can believe like, okay, he at least somewhat knows what he's doing. He's done some work, and we know what type of player we have, and he's experienced the speed of the game at this level. So you have some baseline of knowing what you got as a potential starter once we move on from Matt.
Yeah, so I mean, with him saying that, I mean, that's a pretty revealing statement that he made there. But what people got to remember is that weren't the Chiefs like 11-5 the year before they drafted Pat Mahomes, or was that the year that Pat Mahomes was already on?
He took over. They were 2-14 when he took them over, and then
because what was it? Didn't Alex Smith have a really good season his last year there?
I think he had a decent season. Let's see, Chiefs record by year. You might be right, but for some reason,
Alex Smith had 2 good seasons with at quarterback.
So 2-14, yeah. They were 9-7 the year they drafted him.
Okay, so I mean, I could see that. I mean, the only thing is that the way I feel about Matt Ryan for the next 2 years is that I don't think. I mean, Spencer Rattler is probably going to be your first quarterback taken. The other guy
I was wrong year, 12-4.
Okay, that's what I thought. I remember they had a really good year and they just couldn't get over the hump. But wait, so that was the year they drafted him, or the year he was already on the roster?
They
right?
went 12-4 and then drafted him. No, okay. 10-6. 10-6 and drafted him. Yeah. The years, the way this site is listing the years is confusing. Yeah, 10-6.
Because that first year they won, then they got the brakes beat off of them by like, was it the Titans or like the Ravens or something? And then that next year they made it again. No, it was the Titans, because Derrick Henry ran all over them in the playoff game. And then the next year
we were at the Grove watching that.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, so I say all that just to say that obviously in his mind he's thinking that we're a 9-7, 10-6 team, unless he's projecting this out 2-3 years down the road. But I don't see that. But with in mind, if next year we're gonna hopefully maybe Grayson McCall, doesn't ring as many bells as I hope, and maybe we can get him and groom him under Matt. But I just, besides him and Spencer, I don't really see any other guys who I would want over Matt at this point.
Who'd you say? Which one?
Grayson McCall from Coastal Carolina.
He's got pretty good arm talent.
Yeah, he's big. He has arm talent. He's mobile. And he's a winner.
Mentioned one. Sam Howell. Brock Vandergriff is going to be one. JT Eason.
Well, that's
no Brock Vandergriff for me.
Vandergriff's a true freshman, so it'll be years. Now, JT Daniels.
No.
I'm saying JT Daniels would be if you want a Georgia quarterback, JT Daniels is probably about the only one that's draftable.
I don't want a Georgia quarterback.
No.
No. Hey. I just say all that to say, I mean, obviously Pat Mahomes is that generational talent. So it's very idealistic of him to think that way and be like, oh, well, you got to build it before you get the quarterback. But what are the chances that you find a good guy?
Boy from Clemson.
DJ
Ungule.
Yeah.
DJ.
Ungule.
Well, but here's the thing. You take your Marco loves to punch down at Baker Mayfield, but part of the reason Baker's had success in his time there is because they've built a very good team around Baker, and
one of the best rosters in the league.
He was there for that.
But no, I mean, but even like when he took over as a rookie, they were a good roster. They had weapons on offense.
After like taking
And
16 number one picks.
but I mean, you know, it is what it is. I mean, eventually, even a bad team has to get good at a certain point. After, you know, drafting high, if you finally make enough of the right moves, like they said, they had a stacked roster. They just couldn't find anybody competent at the helm. And then, you know, Baker comes in and was competent.
And they're like, oh shit, we need to get a running game.
Okay, and then they had Chubb, but then they really invested in the running game, and now like it's at the point where even if Baker's struggling, they have two running backs who can pretty much take all the pressure off of them, and then they have a great defense. So yeah, I mean I totally get what he's trying to do, because it's like, all right, you know, you get a young quarterback, and if the team is good enough around him, there's less pressure to. I mean, hell, look at Case Keenum with the Vikings. Case Keenum went to an NFC Championship game with the Vikings because the team around him was so talented that it was literally no pressure on him to have to do much.
But my thing about that is that, like, so if that's the proposed ideal situation, then I'm saying that in 2 years, do you think Matt Ryan's going to be that bad where he wouldn't be the beneficiary of that good team?
Yes. He is regressing. His arm talent is getting worse as he goes.
I'm just saying, but you just said Case Keenum was the beneficiary of a
Case
good team around him. So if he's trying to build a good team, would Matt Ryan not be able to do the same thing that a rookie quarterback could do?
If his arm isn't good enough to make the throws, which we've started to see that it's starting to come, like last year in that Chargers game, there were a bunch of throws that turned into picks that 2-3 years ago, those were easy completions. So if he keeps regressing at this rate, then, you know, 3 years down the line, he won't have enough arm. Not to mention the contract, the $40-something million contract.
And we said we weren't going to mention that.
But it's part of the equation. It's
but
part
it's
of the equation,
here.
and it makes it hard. It makes it hard to keep the talent around when you have that number hovering over your team. So I mean, yeah, I'm just saying, at a certain point, I've kept it out of the conversation most of the time, but at a certain point, it's just like the regression is setting in. He, like, you know, as much as our fans want to believe that he can do what Brady does and play into his 40s. Physically, I don't know if he has the arm talent and ability to play that long. So
I'll say though, I don't, even though he, you know, his arm strength has weakened. I don't think that it's like osteoporosis where it's going to get worse and worse and worse. I think we're seeing the floor. Like, I don't think like he's just going to be so much worse than he was last season, where it's like, oh my God, what was that?
Barring a traumatic injury, in the way sports science and, you know, training is nowadays, you don't see that traumatic drop off like you used to do. Like, I mean, they'll maintain their arm strength. They will certainly lose arm strength. Like Philip,
he's not going to look like Peyton Manning did in the Super Bowl.
Peyton Manning couldn't throw the ball because
I'm not saying that bad, but I could definitely see what Philip Rivers was last year for the Colts, and he was good, but it's like just certain throws.
He was broken down though. Matt's never broken down like that.
Broken down in what way?
I mean, Philip Rivers had injuries. Didn't he have some type of injury that
he had an ACL? He had an ACL early in his career, but for the most part, Philip Rivers has stayed healthy, just like Matt Ryan.
Didn't he have an ACL injury like his last year in San Diego?
No.
No, he played.
No, that was
all
earlier.
the games.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Philip Rivers still had a good year last year, 24-11. Like I'd take that.
Yeah, but I mean,
at 38 from Matt.
Yeah, but 24-11 isn't necessarily carrying to the playoffs, and I mean, you know,
took the Colts to the playoffs.
But that, I mean, you also, so they had Titans in that division. Then you had two of the worst teams in the conference in that division.
Yeah, but I mean,
two top
Phillip
three
Rivers
draft picks.
Receivers were nothing compared to what Matt has here.
Yeah, but I mean, at a certain point, you still got to get the ball to them. Like you could throw screens. Phillip Rivers could throw screens all day with those guys, and they could get yards after the catch with their explosiveness. But
if Arthur Smith is what all the coaches around the league and all the like real football heads are saying about Arthur Smith, I think you're going to see quite the jump in Matt Ryan performance again. Just because, I mean, if he can do it with Tannehill, man, like Matt Ryan's far superior to Tannehill as far as a quarterback goes. Let's just be honest. Like Tannehill is more athletic. Yeah, he has a stronger arm for sure. But when it comes down to quarterbacking, Tannehill's not even in the same class as Matt Ryan. And if you say that, you're kidding yourself.
No, I'm not going to say mentally, but
he doesn't process the game anywhere near like an elite.
Yeah, well, and mental is important, but I think people underestimate how important
bad Thomas Dimitroff was.
But
Dirk Cutter.
I think people underestimate how important the physical aspect
That's what I'm
of
at.
playing
I don't know
quarterback is. And I mean, there's a lot of physicality as far as playing the quarterback. Like I said, that zip can make that a fraction of a second in zip on a pass can make the difference between a catch and an interception or
sure.
a deflection.
For sure.
And that's all I'm saying. It's just like I said, if his arm continues, like I said, he might lose, 2 miles per hour on his throw, but that can make the difference between.
I mean, shit, you saw Drew Brees last season. Like he still managed to get to the second round of the playoffs despite having no arm.
And he looked no. Drew Brees only played like half the season.
True, but
Taysom Hill went 5-1 as a starter.
2 of those games were against us.
Yeah. But I'll say this. It's one of the. Any Given Sunday had a lot of corny parts to it, but that final speech, one second too slow, 1 second too fast, you don't catch it. It's just stuff like it's those minor things, those minor details make a huge difference, and that's the reason why I'm just like,
Would you say that Drew Brees' arm was weaker than Matt Ryan's will be, or like will Matt Ryan ever get to that level? Just real quick, yes or no?
Absolutely.
Wait, which side are we saying yes or no?
Are you saying Drew Brees' arm is weaker than what Matt Ryan's arm?
Yes.
Will ever be?
Last season it was for sure.
I think towards the end of last season it was weaker.
And maybe the season before that.
Like in Matt Ryan in 2 years, do you think he'll be that low or lower? No, or I don't think he'll ever get that low.
No, I think he will.
I mean, he's a bigger guy. Like it's just
he's bigger.
Pure physics.
Yeah, but I mean,
and plus Drew Brees was 41.
And Matt isn't a spring chicken.
Yeah, but come on, man. Like 41-year-old, 5'11" Drew Brees. You think Matt Ryan's arm is ever going to get that weak? No. Like, come on.
Right.
Even at that though, that weak arm last year, and only playing 9 games, Drew Brees still put up 24-6.
Right. He still did great things.
But that was a lot of scheme too. So
exactly my point. That's the whole point I was making. If Arthur Smith, your Matt Ryan hate is blinding you from the question that I'm posing.
It's not hate, and it's just realism. Like I said, he doesn't have a cannon. I don't care if he is.
Is it realism if you're saying that a 41-year-old Drew Brees' arm that is half this, like a solid 5 inches shorter than Matt Ryan, his arm strength is ever going to be that bad?
It could very well be that bad.
I don't think it's
and the
hate.
way I've seen the regression,
Maddie PTSD. I think that's what you're. It's like you're imposing a lot of past failures on because
now granted, a lot of my opinion is based off, but you tried to put the caveat of money in there, but money
the caveat was for roster, not for
but no, I mean money is a lot of my motivation and a lot of my criticism on just the NFL.
Wait, before
money's not his fault though.
We got to a simple thing where we could basically go skill for skill, talent for talent. You can just be like, Drew Brees did great things for the last 3-4 years of his career with a weak ass arm.
Right.
And you think Matt Ryan's not going to be able to do that if you scheme him to it?
Could he possibly?
Oh my
But I mean, I'm sorry, I just don't see it.
I just don't like him. Just say it.
Right. I mean, at least point to something tangible. Be like, well, mentally, I don't think Matt Ryan will ever be
well,
that full-blooded winner. Say something that's tangible.
I've said that before. I've said it before. Like when you talk about quarterbacks who when the game is on the line, you know are going to ice the game. Matt Ryan is not one that comes to your mind. He's never been one. Now, granted,
right. So I would take that more than you saying, oh, his weak arm is going to be the reason. You know, I'd be more so that, okay, well, Matt's never really been a clutch guy, so he'll never be where. Well, Drew Brees was never really that clutch either. He throw picks all the time.
He's second most in game-winning drives. I don't know about that, Marco.
Well, I mean,
he's one behind Peyton Manning on game-winning drives
with that weak arm.
But
I mean, down the stretch,
in the fourth quarter, yeah.
My thing is, and like I said, it's a combination. I've never really trusted the whole. I've never saw him overly clutch quarterback. When we needed him to get touchdowns, a lot of times we come up short. You know, he doesn't have a cannon for an arm. He has regression has started to set in. He's getting older. He takes shots. He takes shots that he doesn't have to take because
a lot of
he holds
those
on
tendencies
to the ball.
that you're talking about are under bad offensive coordinators. When we saw him under a coordinator that I was saying, if Arthur Smith is of this level, you saw Matt do the right things, get rid of the ball quickly, throw it to the guy who was open, and make those right reads.
But I mean,
Matt Ryan's number 8 all time in
right with 38 game-winning drives.
Yeah, but I mean, if you legitimately look at those numbers, like 75% of those are before 2012. They've signitightally reduced
the game-winning drives.
The game-winning drives. And
that's
a lot of
because
those
we've had worse teams like
and a lot of
and
a lot of those came against teams with losing records.
That's like saying, Trey wasn't a winner while Lloyd Pierce was our coach. It's like obviously they're gonna blow any lead they ever have.
but I mean, at the end of the day, like, and I've made this. Matter of fact, let's just move on because we're gonna be on this for. I'll literally go on this for all night because y'all aren't gonna agree with me. And I, it is what it is.
Yeah. Taylor said you're just a Matt Ryan hater. So